What's up guys, I'm Phoenix Master 1 and welcome to my Divine Codes 4 Ultimate Guide. So this is going to be an in-depth analysis of each path. I'll be rating each combat manual and going along I'll also be giving you the sample builds on how you can use those skills. And by the end of this video, you're definitely going to be having a much better idea which path you want to choose and which combat manuals you want to get with your Divine Codes. So there are some basic rules with combat manuals. You can only get them multiple times and you can only use the Divine Codes 1, 2, 3 to get the manuals from Divine Codes 4. So that is pretty much something that you have to keep in mind. And I do have my evaluation criteria and I'll be rating the combat manuals based on these 4 factors. Now, the value of many of these combat manuals really depends from player to player, depending on which game mode they play or which kinds of units they want to build up. So with that said, let us begin with the 3 Houses and 3 Hopes path, which starts with Winter Manuela. So at start, Winter Manuela is decent, giving you Winter Rapier Plus, which does have attack defense unity built into it, and she also has Special Fighter 3. So this could be useful if you don't really have Arcane Sword to give to a unit. And Special Fighter 3 is going to be a decent fighter skill, and especially if you have Winter Black Knight to pass on Special Fighter 4, then this could be useful. And moving on to the second unit on this path, we have got Summer Dimitri, giving amazing value with Attack Speed Catch 4 and Speed Defense Menace. Now unfortunately, it's not really all that easy to get the version 3 of the Attack Speed Catch skill, so getting both of these skills at the same time is going to be a bit tough, but still Attack Speed Catch 4 is a really universally useful skill on any kind of flyer or cavalry units, so they are definitely going to be enjoying the offensive aspect of this skill. And there are just so many builds where you want to run Attack Speed Catch 4, so it does come at a pretty cheap price here on this path, which is definitely pretty amazing. Then we have got Monica providing Attack Speed Ideal 4 and Speed Resistance Tempo 3. Now, mages don't really have any kind of damage reduction piercing special, so a lot of times they are going to be preferring to have Special Spiral 4 to do that. But still, if you have a mage where you have the Desperation effect built into their weapon, and if you want to fire off a special on your double, then this could be a skill that could be useful, and you can definitely get the Ideal 4 skill at the same time. So this is mainly going to be there for the mages. And then we have the peak of this path in male Shez, providing you Speed Defense Bulwark 3 and also Attack Speed Oath 4. So Speed Defense Bulwark is definitely an amazing skill for Ether Raid's offense for an Omni tank, and also for Summoner duels, because it does have the obstruct effect and it can definitely be stacked up with stuff like finish kills and arcane downfall so that you can get even more healing. So it is a pretty good skill, and Attack Speed Oath 4 is an amazing, universally useful slotsy skill that could be run on so many infantry builds and so many flyer builds. So this is going to be an absolutely amazing skill that you can try and get from male Shez here, who's not even at the end of the path, he's just right before that. So this is definitely going to be an amazing fodder, 10 out of 10 in my opinion. The last unit on this path is Brave Female Byleth, and I think that she's a bit more niche because of Speed Preempt. So not every kind of unit can run Speed Preempt that well compared to her, and you pretty much need something like Time Pulse 4 so that you can loop that special cooldown, and someone like Kadean Male Byleth or Legendary Male Byleth can definitely run that kind of build. And if you can try and run Speed Smoke 4 in your slotsy, then you can kind of try and emulate the playstyle of Female Brave Byleth, where you do have the damage reduction as a backup in case you don't really kill a unit with Speed Preempt. So it is definitely going to be pretty nice for the units that can run this skill, but if not, then Speed Resistance Hold and Attack Speed Catch 4 is still going to be there, which is going to be definitely pretty useful. And we did get Plagian Tharja with Speed Resistance Rain 3 from the January's Limited Ephemera Manual, so it can definitely be helpful to inherit 2 skills at the same time, like Speed Preempt and Speed Resistance Hold. So that can definitely be pretty useful. And that is going to be 3 Houses path. So overall, this path is actually pretty decent, and it does provide you with cheap Attack Speed Catch 4 on the second unit for 1200 codes, which is definitely pretty nice. And this path definitely peaks with male Shez in my opinion, in the 4th position, giving you Oath 4 and Bulwark. And this is definitely going to be a useful path if you're trying to build up a speedy offensive unit. And all of these skills are definitely going to be useful. Speed Preempt, like I said, is a bit more niche, so not all kinds of units are going to be able to make use of it, but still it's a pretty rare skill. Starting the Fates and Awakening path, we do have Ninja Male Corrin providing Ninja Naginata Plus and also Special Spiral 3. So Ninja Naginata Plus is definitely going to be a pretty nice weapon for someone like Fallen Dimitri, where you can try and get the true damage based on the speed, and you can stack it up with Flashing Blade 4, so you can basically get more true damage, and that is definitely going to be helpful. And Special Spiral 3 is definitely pretty nice here because Rearmed Ophelia is going to be on the Hero Rises banner, so if you're trying to pass off Special Spiral 4 with another skill, then this is definitely going to be really good. And this being at start of the path is definitely going to be pretty amazing value. Now, the value definitely dips a bit with Flavia because they do value the feud skills, weirdly enough, quite a bit. So Flavia does provide attack speed push 4 and R feud 3. So push 4 skills can be useful, but many people don't really like the recall damage of it. And R feud is going to be useful mainly for like Ether 8's defense. If you're trying to aim to get some Duodumas or stuff like that. So feud skills are definitely pretty niche and mostly useful for Ether 8's defense or for a high level Summoner Duels gameplay. But that's pretty much their use, and even that, like R feud, is not really going to be all that useful compared to blue feud or colorless feud. Then we have got Fallen Lilith providing speed smoke 4 and also attack speed catch 4. So we definitely have quite a lot of attack speed catch 4 in this entire Divine Codes 4 path. And Speed Smoke 4 is definitely going to be pretty amazing for stacking up the damage reduction with slot B skills, with Vital Last Strength, stuff like that. So it is going to be a skill that you're going to be giving mainly to like mixed phase units because you do need to enter the combat to activate Speed Smoke 4. So it's definitely going to be a pretty nice skill for many units and for their slot C. And then we have got Valentine Lucina providing near save on the 4th position and also providing Savvy Fighter. So you can definitely get Casual Stance 3 and Attack Defense near save at the same time. So this is going to be pretty good for many of the fast near save tanks. And Savvy Fighter 3 is also going to be pretty helpful for many of the fast save tanks, especially for range units like Winter Marth, for example, who don't really have access to stuff like Hardy Fighter. So for them, Savvy Fighter is pretty much going to be the best skill that they can run and leverage their speed into their advantage and try and get the damage reduction and also the full null follow-up out of it. So Valentine Lucina is absolutely amazing on this path, giving you near save and also Savvy Fighter. And then we finish off this path with Brave Chrom giving you Infantry Speed Tactic, Surge Sparrow, and Speed Defense Near Trace 3. So you can either get Surge Sparrow and Speed Defense Near Trace at the same time, or you can try and get Infantry Speed Tactic. In my opinion, his value is definitely from Infantry Speed Tactic because it's such an amazing skill that you can run for Ether 8's offense, for Ether 8's defense, for Summoner Duels. So someone like Brattle Katria, for example, is an amazing user of this skill because you ideally want to put this Infantry Speed Tactic skill on a Flyer or a Cavalier. You don't really want to put this on an Infantry unit because they're going to be counting themselves as an Infantry unit, and then you can only run one other Infantry unit. So that's why Infantry Speed Tactic is going to be amazing on Flying Dancers, on Cavalry Dancers like Hatari Azura, and also on support units like Brattle Katria. So this is definitely something that you might have seen before, like Brattle Katria carrying Infantry Speed Tactic, because she can provide even more support and just free up the slot B skill of many of the infantry units from running null follow-up, and they don't even have to bother running null follow-up Sacred Seal. So this is going to be a pretty good option, and you can also get Surge Sparrow and Speed Defense Near Trace at the same time, so that is also a pretty good offensive option that you can get out of Brave Chrom. Overall, Awakening and Fate's path is easily one of the best paths because it does provide you really good value from start to finish. Only Flavia doesn't really give you that amazing of an value, but still it's fine. And Speed Smoke 4 and Near Save are very useful skill for many units, and Infantry Speed Tactic, like I said, is going to be a pretty nice skill on many of the support units. Starting the Fae and Tellius path, we do have young Ilyana who can provide you with lull attack resistance and also attack resistance gap 3. So the gap skill is not really too insane, but yeah, having a lull skill at the start is definitely pretty good, and it can provide you with decent value, especially on slower mages, especially if they already have an auto follow-up weapon like Arcane Eclipse, for example, or if they just want to have this option for tanking and such. Then we've got Hatari Nailah providing you some decent value with Sturdy Surge and Lull Speed Defense, which you can actually get at the same time. So this is definitely a bit of a niche skill for the units who want to function in the player phase, and they also have the defense and some kind of auto follow weapon. So it's useful on those kinds of units like Duo Ephraim, for example, or many of the Arcane Xiang users who can just get the special charges from the weapon and also have -1 special cooldown with it. So it is going to be helpful for those kinds of playstyles, basically, for getting the healing by triggering a high cooldown special like Bonfire or Ignis, for example. But still, it's not the first skill that you think of running on a bulky slow unit, but still it could be an option. And then we've got young Mia providing Flashing Blade 4, Speed Defense Tempo 3, and also Odd Tempest 3. So Speed Defense Tempo 3 is going to be a decent skill, especially on an archer like Jomke, for example, where you really want to trigger your special on the second hit. So it is going to be a decent skill for that, and Flashing Blade 4 is mainly going to be useful for the Gale Force strategies, like on a dancer like Sylvia, for example, who is used quite a lot on a Gale Force team. So Flashing Blade 4 is mainly going to be there for those kinds of teams, and Speed Defense Tempo is going to be a bit more niche, but still, it can definitely provide value. Then we move on to Ninja Shinon, providing Ninja Yumi Plus, Deadeye, Attack Speed Solo 4, and also Loud Speed Defense 3. So Ninja Yumi Plus kind of pales in comparison to Whitecap Bow Plus that we already have in the Grail pool. So mainly he's going to be useful for Deadeye and Loud Speed Defense. So you can definitely try and run this on your favorite archers. And this could definitely be a way of getting Deadeye compared to Divine Codes 3, where Deadeye is at the end of that path, where here you can actually get it on the 4th slot unit in Ninja Shinon. So overall you kind of save your Divine Codes in a way. So if you haven't really got Deadeye from that Divine Codes path, then this could be an option. And this could be run on an archer like Legendary Lucina, who already has the auto follow-up attack in the player phase, so she can just run Loud Speed Defense as her sloppy skill and can definitely help you in something like Arena. Finishing off this path, we do have Flame Tribe Muspell, and he's going to be providing Dragon's Wrath 4. So Dragon's Wrath 4 is definitely going to be helpful on any kind of dragon unit who has an auto follow-up weapon, and they do have high enough attack to make use of Dragon's Wrath 4 and its true damage. So it is definitely helpful for getting that damage reduction, and it's a 300 SP slot B skill, and the only 300 SP slot B skill that we see in Divine Codes 4. So it is definitely going to be helpful on dragon units like Legend Myr, for example, and even if you have an older dragon unit like Faye, for example, if you run this slot B skill and you run Distant Counter Dragon Sacred Seal, which is also 300 SP, then you can actually score higher. So it is definitely pretty helpful for arena scoring, and definitely pretty nice for many of the dragon units. Overall, this path is kind of decent, mainly a path for bow units for that Deadeye, for Speed Defense Tempo, and for dragon units, as you can get Dragon's Wrath 4 at the end. So it is going to be having decent skills, but nothing really too insane, and Dragon's Wrath 4 can definitely help you with the arena scoring, and Deadeye is definitely going to be the premium special for many of the archers. For the GBA Games path, we do start with Rattle Cecilia, and she's mainly going to be providing Rally Attack Resistance Plus, and also Attack Res Ruse. So this could be helpful on a support unit like Muspell, for example, or if you're just trying to build up any kind of unit for arena, the double rally skill is always going to be useful, and the Ruse skill is something that you can take advantage of if you have multiple units that are mages or dragons on your arena core. And then we have got Ascended Joshua here, providing Life and Death 4 and Green Feud. Now keep in mind that whenever you get an Ascended unit as the combat manual, you're not going to be getting the Ascended Florette, so that's something you have to keep in mind, and that's something that they have explicitly stated. So Life and Death 4 is mainly going to be useful for the mages that run AoE specials, because they want to increase their visible attack stat, and now Follow-Up 3 is also pretty nice here, but we do have it available in the Grail pool now on Lumera, so that is already there. And again, Feud skills are pretty niche, and they're not something that you're going to be seeing too much, especially Green Feud. And then we have got Fallen Ninian in the middle of the path, providing B-Dual Infantry 4, Odd Pulse Tie, and Crossbow Attack. So B-Dual Infantry 4 is definitely going to be useful on a unit like Legendary Lucina, for example, who really needs it for the scoring. And it can also be useful on units that are older, but you still want to use them in arena. And Odd Pulse Tie is not really as good as Even Pulse Tie. Odd Pulse Tie is mainly useful in Aether Raid's defense, where you can pulse down someone like Regan with that pre-charged Sather Shell. And Crossbow Attack is something that you can pick up at the same time with B-Dual Infantry 4. And it is definitely pretty helpful as a support skill on someone like Duopini or even regular Pini as a supportive skill. Then we move on to the 4th unit on the path, who is going to be Ascended Idunn, and she does provide Defense Res Near Save and Sturdy Stance 3, which you could get at the same time, and also Wily Fighter 3. So Near Save is definitely pretty amazing for many of the units, and if you want to build up a Near Save tank, then she can also provide you with the Stance 3 skill at the same time. So this is definitely really helpful and is really good value for the 4th unit on the path. And then we end off the path with Godlike Reflexes. And Flame Tribe Lyn is definitely pretty amazing at the end of the path here for the value. So Godlike Reflexes is going to be amazing on many of the fast melee units who can loop the special easily with like Arcane Downfall or Arcane Xiang. And they're just fast and are good users of this. So you can definitely try and pre-charge Godlike Reflexes with multiple allies like Duo Chrom or Duo Asker. And you can also get Speed Smoke 4 at the same time. So that is definitely pretty good, and this is definitely one of the more premium specials that you can try and get. So we end off this path really strong with Flame Tribe Lyn. Overall, this path is pretty decent at the start, but extremely good at the end with the near save that Idunn provides, and then the godlike reflexes. And B-Dual Infantry 4 is going to be helpful in Arena, but Dual 4 skills are kind of outdated at this point for their scoring, but still if you want to use an older unit, then it could be an option. We start the Jugdral path with Scion Julia, so she does provide Luminous Grace Plus, Rally Speed Resistance Plus, and also Attack Speed Push 4. So if you just want to get Attack Speed Push 4, then this is definitely a pretty nice option right at the first unit. And you can also get Rally Speed Res Plus. And Luminous Grace Plus is a decent offensive weapon, but still, Arcane Eclipse is going to be the ultimate weapon that red mages are going to be running. So she is going to be providing you with decent value. Then we move on to August, who does have a bit of a weird value where he does provide you with Nudge Plus, so it's not really Return Plus or Rescue Plus, which is going to be preferred. And he also provides Fire Flood, Bomb Plus, and also Defense Respawn 4, and Even Recovery. So Even Recovery could be useful on your favorite staff unit, and Defense Respawn 4 is mainly going to be useful for armor units that can run the safe skills, and they just want to have their defense and resistance protected against the debuffs. So not the best value here at the second unit, and definitely a bit of a niche skill. And Even Recovery is not going to be as useful as Odd Recovery for something like Aether Raid's defense. Then we have got Tine here providing Fury 4, Null Follow-Up, and Blue Feud. So Blue Feud is definitely one of the more useful feud skills, and there are, blue tanks like Brave Dimitri, Brave Hector, and also Ascended Idunn, which are going to be pretty common. So Blue Feud is going to be giving you the value there, and Fury 4 is going to be helpful on many of the Gale Force strats. So you can just run double Fury and pretty much get into the Wings of Mercy range. So it is definitely going to be helpful for that. But in Divine Codes 3, we do have Fury 4 on Aspel, and he's the second unit. So in the middle for Fury 4 and Blue Feud is definitely not that big of a value. And then we have got Ascended Ishtar providing Life and Death 4 and Time Pulse at the same time. Or you could get Lull Speed Resistance 3. So again, Life and Death is going to be there for the AoE mages, and it could also be used if you're trying to soak up Bride Shrine, for example, like this dagger here. For soaking up the Bride Shrines, you're going to be appreciating the extra attack and speed from Life and Death 4, but that's pretty much the use case of Life and Death 4, and you can definitely try and get Time Pulse 3 at the same time, which could be useful, but still, it's quite late in the path. And then we end off this path with Ascended Mareeta giving Vital Astra, Spurn 3, Attack Speed Solo 4, and even Tempest 3. So Vital Astra is definitely going to be an amazing special that you can pre-charge on many of the units with -1 special cooldown weapons, and that is going to be giving you damage reduction. And even as a damaging special, it is definitely going to be pretty solid for many of the fast units. It's basically going to be their best damaging special. So it definitely has a lot of value for many of the speedy units. And overall, this path is not really all that insanely good. It is kind of underwhelming, honestly, at start. But at the end, there is Vital Astra, and Vital Astra is definitely going to be going on many of the fast infantry units that are going to be running this premium special. The final path is with Fae units, Archanea units, and also Shadows of Valentia units. We start with Hatari Xane, providing Serpentine Staff Plus and Dazzling Staff 3 mainly. So Serpentine Staff is definitely a pretty nice option when you can stack up double Savage Blow, and Dazzling Staff 3 is definitely going to be a pretty good option for any kind of healer. So he's definitely going to be really good as a starting unit on this path. And then we have insane value with Ascended Celica providing Infantry Null Follow-Up 3. So the reason why this is so good is because you can run this on a supportive unit like Na or Brave Lucina and just double down on the support and free up the slot B skill of your infantry tank or infantry ally, and they don't really have to run Null Follow-Up in their slot B or as a Sacred Seal. So this is going to be absolutely amazing, and the value of this is really good. And you can also run this on your infantry dancer like Fallen Ninian, for example. So not only you're going to be giving the special charges effect after the dance, but you're also going to be giving the Null Follow-Up status. So I think that having infantry Null Follow-Up as a second unit is just insane value on this path. But then we dip in the value with Spring Maria, providing Rally Speed Defense Plus and Attack Defense Push 4 and Flow Flight 3. So mainly she's going to be useful for Flow Flight 3, but it's a very niche skill, and there are not too many units who can try and make use of that skill. It is going to be a player phase skill that can give you the true damage reduction and just true damage based on your defense. So you need to have the speed, and you also need to have the defense to make use of this. And again, there are not too many units like Spring Maria who can make use of this, so we definitely go quite a bit low in terms of the value because attack defense push 4 is also not something that a lot of people are going to be wanting. And then we've got Spring Delthea here with attack speed catch 4, speed resistance fortress, and also rouse attack speed 4. Speed resistance fortress is definitely going to be an amazing skill for any kind of mage flyer or mage cavalier, so that is definitely useful. But unfortunately, again, getting attack speed catch 4 at the same time with it is going to be a bit hard unless you have Near Liar. Rouse attack speed 4 is also useful, but it's not really as useful as an Oath 4 skill, which like Male Shez provides, for example, as the 4th unit. So Spring Delthea also does not bring too much value for the 4th unit at this kind of cost, but we definitely end off this path pretty strong with Ascended Fjorm providing Hardy Fighter 3 and attack resistance far save, and also Steady Posture 3. So Hardy Fighter is definitely a very meta relevant skill because you need this to survive Pre-Charge Deadeye of Duo Chrom, Lethality of Fury, and just so many of the pre-charged specials, and this just increases your survivability of your safe tank by so much because you're going to be able to get more damage reduction with the defensive specials like Aegis, Pavis, Sacred Cowl, and Escutcheon. So Hardy Fighter is definitely going to be a meta skill which many people are going to be needing, and this is definitely going to be a skill that is going to be run on many of the meta safe tanks. Overall, this path does have good value at the start, but dips in the middle with Spring Maria and Spring Delthea, but it's definitely going to be having good value with Infantry Null Follow-Up on the 2nd unit, and it's not like you have to fully finish the path if you can already get the skill that you want. And Hardy Fighter at the end is definitely going to be a meta-relevant skill for Ether Raids and Summoner Duels, which is definitely going to be useful for many safe tanks. So if I had to rank these paths from best to worst, then I would definitely have Awakening and Fate's path at the top because it does provide you with amazing value pretty much from start to finish. And then we have got the 3 Houses and 3 Hopes path, which in my opinion comes at second for the ratings that I've done. And then we have got the Fae and Mystery of the Emblem and Echoes path, which is also pretty decent with its value, especially at the start with Infantry Null Follow-Up. And then we have GBA Games here pretty much tying for the 3rd spot, and then we have got the Fae and Tellius path on the 4th position, mainly because at the start it doesn't really give you some insane value, and the value is definitely more at the end. And finally we have got the Jugdral path, which doesn't really give you too much value until you reach the end, with Ascended Mareeta giving you Vital Astra. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. Make sure to share this video with your friends, and if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave a like and a comment, helps you tremendously. And if you really enjoyed, you could always support me directly by using super thanks down below or by becoming a YouTube member as well. And for more FEH videos, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, because I wish tip sub boxes would show my videos as many times as we saw attack speed catch 4 and divine codes 4. So with that said, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.